Or
What's that?
do I get to hear the music?
Yep. You'll hear the music that's coming on here in about 5 seconds.
Okay.
2 minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast. Thirty seconds till broadcast. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin transmission.
Fighting for freedom every day.
Let me tell you, the response to the show has been absolutely amazing. People can't believe that a young conservative millennial continues to fight for constitutional principles, traditional values, and talks about issues that some are even afraid to talk about. But we do it because we understand the importance of this. And now we're seeing it absolutely blow up all across the nation.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Can you believe that we are literally 1 week away, 7 days away from election season? If you are sick and tired of the campaigning and advertising on your TV or on your radio, it's almost over, I promise you. We are just about there, no matter what race you may be trying to follow all over the country. Hey, welcome into the show. We got a lot to get to today, broadcasting live out of the heart of the nation here in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship station, all over the country on radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. We have the Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn up. Also, the video feed on Parler.com. As we do have our Parler feed also on Minds.com as well. You can find the Voice of Reason there on all of those at Hooser Reason, the asterisk at the Hooser Reason. Also on the website at HooserReason.com, which that is going up right now. I was a little bit late on that one, but that's going up now. If you want to watch the show on the website as well, I always appreciate that one very much. Hey, so I saw a story today. How are you socially distancing? Are you still concerned and scared to death about the virus? I know you are. Because everybody is. Everybody's so scared of the virus. Now that it's cold outside, there's actually a reason to wear a mask. Because it's cold. Today, I told you yesterday I had the nostalgic moment of driving in the snow and kind of rolling down the window, crank it up, be like, we're going snowboarding, baby. And it was awesome. It was kind of a lot of fun. Today, it was a little bit different story. It was ice-covered windshields in the morning, so that was kind of interesting coming in. But nonetheless, it was still, I guess, nice. You just crank down the window and crank up the heat, and you're good to go. But now I've realized why we wear masks is to socially distance. But now, not just because of the virus, but because it's cold outside, and you got to keep your breath warm, and it's kind of nice to actually have that barrier from the cold air. So maybe that's why people need to start wearing masks, and we'll justify use of it that way. But I saw a story today. If you're not socially distancing because you're kind of just burnt out on this whole thing, which I don't know about you, but I am. I don't care what they say. We need to cancel Halloween. That ain't going to fly. It's not going to happen. There was a story from UPI.com today trying to take a jab at you and I. See, UPI, you and I. See how that worked out? That's called a funny right there. Oh, let's try that again. That's called a funny right there. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll be here all day. Vampire bats socially distance when they fall ill. Now, remember, evil human beings, we don't socially distance. We're just the jerks that want everybody else to get sick if we don't socially distance, if we're not wearing the masks. But according to new research from UPI.com, new research suggests that vampire bats are better at social distancing and following CDC guidelines than many humans. When a vampire bat gets sick, they spend less time around other members of the colony, helping to slow the spread of the disease, according to the new study published yesterday in the journal Behavioral Ecology. Very interesting. So maybe they have COVID-19. Now, didn't it start with a bat? Why didn't that bat socially distance? That's the big question. I'm excited to have our guest on the line with us today. He is a great guy, and I had to get him on right before election time because this is when it really comes down to it. And I'm going to really hope that his predictions that he's been making all the way up to this, we love having him on, especially right before election time, because predictions are awesome as we try and figure out what the heck's going to happen next week. And you can find him at greatnewsforamerica.com. He has so many great books with Great News for America, More Great News for America, and Real World Socialism. It's Dr. Gerard Lamiero that's hanging out with us here for the hour on the show. Doctor, how are you, my friend?
I am doing great. It's great to be with you.
It's great to be with you. And for the first time, we have you on the video feed. So if anybody's watching the video feed on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn, also on TV and the podcasting, they can also see you on there as well. So it's good to see you on here. Now, you've been, as I mentioned, you followed these predictions all the way back when, and you followed precincts, you followed districts, you followed states, you followed political trends. You predicted that this was still going to be a landslide for President Donald Trump next week. Has anything changed 7 days leading up to Election Day?
It's growing. His support continues to grow. It looks like it's going to be a big one.
Interesting. Do you have a projected electoral college vote number that you're saying?
I do. Donald Trump, 348 electoral votes, which is way more than 270. And Joe Biden, 190.
190. Wow. Now, I've been saying 320, so I'm close to yours, at least closer to yours than what the other ones are saying. This is not what the media is reporting here, Gerard. This is not what the polls are saying, that Biden's leading in these swing states, that Donald Trump just better give up now, that he's doing a last desperate ditch attempt of attention to try and do 2-3 political rallies a week. I mean, at any other time, political analysts would say, wow, look, Joe Biden's staying in his basement the last week of a presidential election. Donald Trump's doing 3 political rallies. We know who's got the momentum here. But that's not what we're hearing. We're hearing that he's just trying to get some attention before he gets dominated next week.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, there are a lot of things going on, but the polls are certainly wrong. And they're wrong for a lot of reasons. Their underlying model, they call about 1,000 or 1,500 people, and they superimpose that on their model of the electorate. But if the model you're using underlying isn't right, then guess what? You're not going to be right either. And I don't think they're accounting for the electorate as it is today. The electorate today is not the same as the electorate in 2008. And I think a lot of their models go back to 2008 and are really not capturing the dynamics of the electorate. And I think I am in the forecast modeling, and that's why I think my model is much more accurate than the polls. And let me just go through, if you want, a couple of the problems with the current polls. Would you like to hear that?
Please do, absolutely.
Yeah, well, for one thing, an awful lot of the polls that you see are for registered voters. But we know that about 30% of registered voters don't vote. And so you can figure that those polls are off by at least 30%. So that's one thing. Another thing is we now know that Republican registrations are roughly equal to Democrat registrations. That's not the case. 4 years ago, 8 years ago, 12 years ago, Democrats outnumbered Republicans, but the registration numbers have closed and the gap is no longer what it used to be. And yet they continue to sample many more Democrats than Republicans. So they're going to get answers that look like more Democrats are voting, and therefore Biden will get more votes. That's wrong. I think what I use as a rough rule of thumb is figure that any poll that you read, subtract 5% of what they give to Biden to 8%, and you'll probably be pretty accurate as to what he's really going to get. Wow. So if they say he's 5% ahead in a state, I'd subtract that 5%, and it's probably a dead even state.
Very interesting. It's fascinating to see how inaccurate some of these are, and they don't get it. I mean, they misrepresented and predicted wrong back in 2016, saying that he had a 2% chance of winning on Election Day, and I know that you had made those predictions that he was going to win on Election Day, and they just couldn't believe it. They were baffled when we would say that he was actually going to win on that one. So I don't understand why you would think that why they would think that they shouldn't maybe change the way they actually do these pollings or try to have a more accurate number. Oh, did we lose him? Maybe we lost him there. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, we'll get him back here in just a second. I think we may have lost connection. I heard the little beeping from the Skype, so hopefully we can get reconnected with him here momentarily. But until then, there you go. So what do you say, 348? Domination. Domination, what's that's all about. Now, again, as we talked about yesterday with the difference between the political analysts that should actually break some things down and actually look at without the political bias of what one candidate's doing, what another candidate's doing, and what that prediction may actually be, I think would actually secure a victory for Donald Trump already just 7 days away. Did you see Joe Biden, though, last night, though? He did show up in Pennsylvania after Donald Trump did three political campaigns in Pennsylvania. Then you saw Joe Biden come out and go to a street corner and say, well, we're going to counter that just by showing up. It wasn't a press conference. It wasn't really a thing. He just kind of showed up, was like, hey, I'm here. I guess we need to do something, which is really strange. Let's see if we got him back on here, shall we? Dr. Gerard Lamiero, are you there, my friend? Nope, I guess we lost him. All right, let's see if we can do... There we go. We'll try and call him back and see if we can't get him back on the line. There you go. That's live radio. That's what it's all about. When we do reconnect with him, then I really want to talk about not only the rallies with Pennsylvania, but also how we can try and move forward with the SCOTUS, because actually we have a confirmation now. She is official, so congratulations to her, and how we can move forward with some of these pieces of legislation from the SCOTUS hearings as well, and what we can do to start transitioning and moving things in the right direction to actually start reversing some of the policies that Major Ruth Bader Ginsburg and some of the other progressives have actually done. So that's coming up as well, which I think is desperately needed, isn't it? We can start the ball rolling. We can do it now. Let's start hearing cases right now. We don't need to wait until after the election. We have a 6-3 supermajority on the conservative end for the Supreme Court now. And if we can actually start throwing things at it, that's only going to help the Republicans, even if we start getting into election season. If they start hearing things and we start talking about them, and the Supreme Court says, yeah, you know what? This is a bad case. This is a bad case. This is a bad case. If we start winning on the on the judicial side of things, that's only going to help Republicans. Now, obviously, they're not going to make decisions right away, but if they start picking up the case and say, yes, we're going to hear them. Yes, we're going to look at Obamacare. Yes, we're going to look at taxes. Yes, we're going to look at the Commerce Clause. Yes, we're going to look at guns. Yes, we're going to look at abortion. Yes, we're going to look at all of these issues. And if they start accepting them, to look at them, and we know that we're going to be on the winning side of them, then I think that's something that we should be very excited about of coming up here for the country. Even if, God forbid, Joe Biden ends up winning this election, then we can stop the agenda when the Supreme Court actually speaks. Now, think about that for a second. That's a little bit different scenario than what we've had in the past, because in the past, we've had to say the Democrats love it that, the Supreme Court has spoken. They are the gods because they have made their decision, and you cannot say anything against the Supreme Court and the rulings from the judges. Therefore, they have spoken. Game's over. The deal's done. You can't do anything different. And that is just not true, for one. But if they do want to play that game, then we can play that game right back at them. We have a 6-3 majority now, and when we start throwing all these at them and we start making decisions, then that is the word in our government, and therefore the Democrats just have to abide by it. When they do repeal Obamacare, when they do give us our gun rights back, when they do actually say that the Commerce Clause is not a way to take over the industry for health care and to take over a sixth of the U.S. economy, when they do say all of those things, then the Democrats are going to change the game and try and change the rules of it. But nonetheless, they would try to, at least we could try and say that, you know what, you need to play by the rules. Then we have the stacking the court issue, which I want to talk to Dr. Gerard Lamiero about as well. So it looks like maybe he lost internet connection because it didn't look like he's back on there. So we'll try and give him a call on the studio line and get him back at least on the phone line here in the next segment if we can possibly do so. Because I really want to get him. Now, at least we got his prediction, 400 or 348, which is bigger than what I've even heard right now. So I want to get into the breakdown of the demographics on how he's getting to that number, how the polling is really 5 to 8% off on all of these states, which means Trump is winning big. But I want to see how that's going to play into the other lower ticket races as well with the Senate and the House. Will we get the House of Representatives back? Will we maintain a majority in the Senate? Is really the big question, because even if we have Donald Trump as president, what all can we do if we don't actually have the numbers in Congress to actually get the agenda through? We had the Supreme Court. We're potentially going to have the presidency. Now let's get Congress. And if we had Republicans and conservatives all across the board in all three branches, maybe, just maybe, we can do something. You've heard Republicans actually try and use the scapegoat as, well, we can try and do it, but the Supreme Court's just going to stop us, which is true to some degree. It's not always true, but it's true sometimes. So we'll see exactly what happens once we actually get a Republican legislature in there and we push them hard to actually get that agenda through. So when we come back, we'll shift gears a little bit. We'll get Dr. Gerard Lamiero back online with us here in some way, shape, or form, and we'll continue on. Until then, it is a whatever day today is, a post-Monday celebration, a Tuesday, the greatest day of the entire week. We'll get to all this and more when we come back. Stay here on The Voice of Reason.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with The Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HooserReason.com. Again, HooserReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, yes, you are. Welcome back into the show. Appreciate you hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting. Doesn't matter where you're at, watching, listening to the program. We appreciate you more than you know each and every day. We love having you along for the ride today. Don't you love radio? Don't you love live radio? Making it happen, doing the thing the way we do. So we covered a lot of ground. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, greatnewsforamerica.com, his latest book, Real World Socialism. He is back on the line with us here via telephone after the Skype. I think, Gerard, here's what I think happened. The government does not like us talking about what we're talking about. They probably shut off all the internet access. What do you think?
I doubt it, but that'd be a lot of trouble just for me.
I'm telling you, they just don't want this information getting out.
It stopped working, and I spent the next few minutes furiously trying to get it to start, and it would not start.
It's strange.
So, yeah. Well, technology is great when it works. When it doesn't, it's a headache.
Yeah, exactly. It's a headache. That's all right. I'm sticking with the story that they don't want the word to get out that Donald Trump's going to win as big as he's going to win, because I haven't heard anybody say that he's going to win that big, that bigly, as Donald Trump would say. I'm still predicting 320 electoral college votes. You're saying in the 340s, which is going to be absolutely 348. So talk about which states you think he's going to lose and that Joe Biden is going to maintain.
Well, right now I think Biden can count on California and New Jersey. And he probably will also get New York, although New York's getting closer.
Yeah.
There are a lot of angry people in New York who are angry at Cuomo, angry at de Blasio. New York City used to be a wonderful place for people to come and visit. They had wonderful restaurants, wonderful Broadway shows, and things like that. But, it's shut down to almost a ghost town. I circulated a video of someone who went through New York City, and you just go street after street with boarded-up stores. The stores are boarded up because they've been looted, or they're trying to protect themselves from looting. And it's just incredible. It's like a ghost town. Once America's probably busiest, bustlingest city.
Yeah.
And to be that way now is really a shame.
It is really a shame, yeah.
I think the American people are going to let the Democrats know what they think of that. I think a lot of blue state governors are going to lose their re-election bids in the future, and a lot of blue city mayors are going to lose their mayoral seats.
Very interesting.
That's going to happen.
So it's going to be a red wave literally all the way top down.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think this is going to be a devastating defeat. And you remember back in 2015, and since then, I've been telling people the Democratic Party is going to end as we know it.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly going to happen. I think it's going to happen a little bit after this election, because this election is going to deal them a devastating blow. And, the billionaire crowd have donated an incredible amount of money, in the billions, literally, to finance Democrat elections all across the country. And when they spent all that money and find out that they're not getting bang for the buck, they're not getting a socialist country, which a lot of them would like, guess what? They're going to hold on to their money, spend it somewhere else,
Yeah.
So I think there are going to be big repercussions, and I think the Democratic Party is finally going to shut its door in early 2021, and I think it's going to end just like the Whig Party. The Whigs did really well for about 50 years in the 1800s, and, you think of parties as permanent, Republicans, Democrats, permanent. No, not at all. Parties come and go. The Whig Party was very successful, elected a few presidents even, but you know what? They're gone. And I think the Democratic Party has gone so far left, it's gone all off the deep end, literally and figuratively, and I think it's going to end.
It's a bold prediction. I mean, it really is. I mean, I don't think many people today realize that you're right, that parties come and go, that they evolve as they kind of grow and they fall apart and crumble and new parties rise up. It's been so long since something like that's happened that to think about a party actually going away and shutting doors is going to be a very foreign concept for a lot of individuals. So I want to touch on that when we come back and talk in more detail about it and what they're going to become after the Democrats potentially shut their doors and what this could look like for the nation and what caused all this. Where did it all come from? We'll get to all that and more with Dr. Gerard Lamiero. Lots more coming up here on The Voice of Reason for a post-Monday celebration. Stay right here.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of the Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
The Hooser Media Network is way more than just the voice of reason. It's your source to find numerous different online talk shows, podcasts, TV, and radio programs, all in one simple online location for you. From political talk to health talk to whatever you may be interested in, we're here for you. And I tell you, it's growing every day. Catch Tracy Maxfield with her podcast, Engage, Educate, and Empower, discussing mental health issues in children and teenagers. From bullying, teenage suicide, addiction, ADHD, and so much more, learn from Tracy and her guests about symptoms, signs, and ways to talk to your children, plus so much more. Having battled depression, being the author of the internationally acclaimed book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, and being a retired nurse, Tracy is kind of the go-to on the subject. Make sure to find her on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, along with her website at tracymaxfield.com. Also, make sure to tune into the weekly podcast, Jump, Pivot, and Roll with Shannon Stiles and Rachel Murphy. Taking that next big leap of faith is hard. Trying to write a book, maybe struggling with a relationship, looking to take that next big career step. What's stopping you? There's a lot of big questions there, and they're questions that Rachel and Shannon want to help with you each and every week. It's Jump, Pivot, and Roll on any of your favorite podcasting sites and on Facebook and YouTube. All of these shows and a heck of a lot more can be found on the Hooser Media Network Facebook and YouTube channels. Make sure to follow and subscribe to check them out today. Follow all the shows, and if you have any inquiries, check us out at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before. Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda. What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason, and I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet. It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth,
and always speak some reason. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. The show's growing all the time, and as we talk about the big issues of the day, one of the big parts of the program is you. And I want you to join us on the program. Whether you agree, disagree, or just want to relieve some of that political frustration, we're here for you. No matter where you may be watching, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, go ahead and leave a comment on the live stream. Chat with other listeners and let me know your thoughts on the topic. Also chat with us on the Podbean chat room. Just go to our live stream of the show at podbean.com and chat with other listeners. You can also call into the program. Just download the Podbean app onto your smartphone, join the live stream, and call in through the app. This is your show, and we want to hear your thoughts. So go ahead and join us here on the Voice of Reason and the Hooser Media Network.
When Reason Meets Radio. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Darn right you are. Welcome back into the show. Thanks for hanging out with us today on a Tuesday, the post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Radio, TV, live streaming, podcasting, doesn't matter where you're at. You can find us all on social media at Hooser Reason, also on the website at HooserReason.com as well. Any of the favorite podcasting sites. We have radio stations. We have TV stations. We are just everywhere, man. And we have some super awesome news that we're about ready to announce with the Hooser Media Network with more shows, more opportunities to find the show, and other shows as well. So stay tuned in for that. I am really excited. We've been working so hard behind the scenes. And it's not obviously happening during election time. I've been so busy with election time, but thereafter, we are sinking 100% of my time off, my side projects, into this and making it happen. So I'm really excited. Make sure to stay tuned in. We have a lot of information. Also, we are just coming up to the end of the month as well. Our new newsletter is coming out here by the end of the month, the beginning of next month. So like next week, maybe we'll put it out on election day. That might be kind of cool. So if you haven't done it yet, go to HooserReason.com, sign up for the newsletter. It'll pop up as soon as you go to the website and say, do you want to subscribe to the newsletter and become a Hooserholic? You say, heck yes, I do. You type in your email. It's totally free. We're not going to spam you all the time. We'll just send you a monthly newsletter at the beginning of the month with a new blog, with some topics, with some things going on with the show and with the network and with all the good stuff. So stay tuned in for that. And if you have not yet signed up for it, please do so. And we appreciate it very much. Speaking of, make sure to check out as well, greatnewsforamerica.com. That's the website for our guest today. It's Dr. Gerard Lamiero. World Socialism is his latest book. He has Great News for America and more Great News for America as well. So lots of books out there, lots of things to discuss and talk about. And it's funny, as I was going through the news over the break, Gerard, I saw a headline according to NBC News. Polls could be wrong, but it may help Biden, not just Trump, because the polls... Both, let's see here, as Election Day approaches and President Donald Trump continues to trail Joe Biden in the high single digits, both nationally and in key states, their respectives based on buzzing are that the polls could be wrong. In truth, public opinion polls may not be accurate with some degree of error, especially given the wide varying quality of the nation's pollsters. But Trump would probably need a larger polling miss than the 2016 win for re-election, because there's no guarantee. First off, it's the fact that they are polling people potentially in their prior places if they've moved or if populations have grown. So it's inaccurate, but it's going to be inaccurate with Joe Biden actually having more of an advantage than what he actually already does. Your thoughts on that?
Dreaming. They're dreaming. And that's fine. You know, I think it's good for them to be delusional. That seems to be what they do.
Yeah.
They just don't get it. They don't get the fact the American people don't like socialism, and that's all they're offering. You know, the two of them, Biden and Harris, are offering a completely socialist agenda. AOC wants Bernie Sanders to become the Secretary of Labor. We heard that yesterday. And so they're talking about who to put in a Biden cabinet, and who are they going to put in? People who are going to push socialism.
Wow.
That's what they want. And you know what? The American people are tuned out of the Democratic Party and what they're offering.
No, people don't want that at all. Now, we had talked about and we teased about it before the break, but not only is Donald Trump, in your prediction, going to win big, but the Democrats are going to crumble as a party, as an establishment party itself. Republicans, so your prediction is maintaining the Senate and winning back a majority in the House of Representatives as well, aren't they?
Yes, by 5 to 8 seats in the House. I think what's going to happen, it's really kind of a multi-step process, and that's how I do forecasting. It's complicated. It's not simple. It takes several steps before things happen, especially in our system, because the Constitution was designed by the founders to be conservative, to not have radical changes like the Democrats want. And that's why they're getting frustrated all along. But what I see happening is the American people were upset with the Republican Party for not doing what they wanted them to do. They sent them to the House back in 2010. Remember, 2010 was the year we had the Unaffordable Care Act?
Yep.
And that the American people basically sent the Democrats packing, and 63 seats were overturned, and the Republicans took the House. But then they didn't follow through. They were not conservative. They did not get rid of Obamacare. They did not support the president when Trump finally got in office. And the American people threw a lot of them out in 2018. They were forced to resign, or they retired, or they were beaten. And you know what? A lot of Democrats got in 2018 not because they were wanted by the American people, but because the American people were essentially punishing the Republicans for not being conservative and following through on their promises to be conservative.
Sure.
So this time, we've got a whole bunch of people, Democrats, who are running in districts that are solidly conservative Republican and are solidly behind Donald Trump. Those seats are going to flip. Trump is trying to flip them while he's campaigning, and he's doing a good job. And so I think the House is going to come back to its natural home, which is to be conservative Republican.
That would be really nice to see. I would love to see something like that. Then we have on top of it, as I had teased a little bit after you had lost connection with the Skype, was that the fact that we just confirmed Amy Coney Barrett last night with the U.S. Supreme Court. So now we have a 6-3 Republican majority, or not Republican, conservative majority, overwhelmingly over on the Supreme Court. If we get a Republican presidency, we have a Republican-led Congress in both chambers, and we have a conservative-minded Supreme Court, the opportunities are endless for us to actually get back on track, is it not?
Absolutely. In fact, I think we'll have a very great growth in the GDP. I think we're going to have the biggest growth in a long time. I think we're going to break the records which were made in the last 3 years before the COVID virus. And let's face it, the COVID virus and the shutdowns and the lockdowns are being kept by Democrat governors and Democrat mayors in blue states, blue cities, for the purpose of hurting the economy, for the purpose of trying to get rid of Trump. They've been trying for 4 years to get rid of Trump because Hillary Clinton and the Democrats have never accepted the fact that she lost that election.
Yeah.
And I think they've been trying to get rid of him. It hasn't worked, and it's not going to work this time either.
What happens with the Democrat Party if what you say comes true in January or next year in 2021,
Sure.
The Democrat Party crumbles, it collapses, it shuts its doors, which, I mean, honestly is not that far-fetched of a thing. We have the ones that actually run the whole thing with the Clintons, with the Obamas. I mean, now we're seeing all the investigations come out with Hunter Biden, with the emails, with what Joe Biden has been doing for all these years, the tie-in with Hillary Clinton, the tie-in with Barack Obama. I mean, all the main leaders, the face of the party, are starting to come out with conspiracies and with different allegations against them. So it's honestly that not that far-fetched of a thing. What happens to the party? Where do they go, and what happens to them?
Well, it's going to disband, okay. The doors will close. It'll no longer be a legal entity, so to speak. And I think what will happen is the socialists, people like AOC and her group, I think they'll join the Socialist USA Today party, or they'll join the Green Party, or they'll join one of the other liberal far-out parties. You know, they have a bunch of them out there, Workers' Party, different people.
Yeah.
And I think they'll basically go there. The Democrats, who believe in America and are not socialist, I'm going to guess that a new party is going to emerge, sort of like a progressive party, or at least something that's constitutional based, but maybe a little bit more liberal than we've seen. And so I think there'll be some sort of new party, but it's going to be a minority party. It's going to take them years to rebuild from this devastating situation they're in. And then the Republican Party, I think, would be well advised to change its name. A lot of people think of Republicans, they think of John McCain and John Kasich, and they are not the Republicans of today. They are the Republicans of history. And I think that the Republicans change their name to the Conservative Party or the Conservative Populist Party or some other name that's appropriate to give the fact, maybe the Constitutional Party, although there is one of those out there, smaller party, but some name that, reflects what they really believe. And I think that will be the major party, the number one party, and it's going to be responsible for a lot of conservative future growth and greatness of America. And the socialists will have no role in it because they're really a minority.
Yeah, that would be really interesting, and it kind of leads into what I wanted to ask you as well with what caused something like this. I mean, obviously years of destruction from the Democrat Party, the pendulum swinging farther and farther to the left, that's caused a lot of this as well. But also Donald Trump and the populist movement, which I have to admit I'm not a populist. I'm not a big fan of populism, and it took me a while to get on the Trump wagon to understand it. And I like Donald Trump, obviously. Now I love what he's doing, but I'm still not a fan of a populist movement, so I'd be wary of trying to move towards that direction and actually make the party as a base of populism. But, I mean, what caused this? Was it Trump or was it just years of self-destruction from the Democrats?
No. Trump said it in the last debate. He said, Joe, if it weren't for you and Obama, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
He ran because they ran the country into the ground. Remember, they said that we had to learn to live with no growth. We had to learn to figure we were living in our past, that we didn't have a future.
Sure.
And I do not think that's part of the American DNA. I think the American DNA is growth and doing great things and doing better things and doing new things, exciting things. I think really when we say populism, that's not even a good word. It's hard to find a good word that captures it other than the word freedom. I think you could call it the Freedom Party because what we believe in is the freedom guaranteed by the Constitution, and popular means that everybody, that means the population, the regular people, the working people, the rich people, the poor people, everybody wants freedom, and that's what it's really all about, giving people freedom, individual rights. So I don't think populism is the right word, and maybe conservative isn't right either because some people think that means you don't want to grow, but we do. I think freedom is what we're all about.
No, I completely agree. Let's go ahead and take a break. One more segment left. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, you can visit him online with all his blogs, all his great information at greatnewsforamerica.com. Also, make sure to check out his latest book at Real World Socialism as well. When we come back, I want to continue this conversation and get ready for 7 days away election season. I am excited. I'm ready to go, and I love to see the crumbling of the Democrats and a major victory for Republicans all across the board.
The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. While you listen to the delightful broadcast of The Voice of Reason, don't forget to check us out and follow us on all of our social media sites. Whether you're using Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Minds.com, or Instagram, we're there for you. Find us at Hooser Reason on any of your social media platforms. You'll see special commentary, links to the articles and news that we use on the show, and videos of the broadcast. Plus, you can directly send us a message on social media during the show to let me know your thoughts. Many already do, and it's a great chat room for all of our great listeners. And you can always sign up for the Patreon site to get exclusive content, maybe hear show products before we air them on the radio, and a lot more. And when you support us on Patreon, you also help the show be able to fight for conservative values each and every day. So it's a win-win. Just find us at Hooser Reason on all of your social media platforms, or you can find a link to all of our social media sites on our website at HooserReason.com. We know you're on social media already, so bring some reason into your day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Miss part of the show? Don't worry about it. There's plenty of ways to catch the program, and here's how you can do it. First, make sure to tune in every day right here on your favorite radio station. We're here for you. Second, subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite sites. YouTube and iTunes, Spotify and Google Play, TuneIn, Podbean, and more. Have the show automatically downloaded to your favorite device. Last, visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can listen to the podcast, catch our special features, and more. It's the Voice of Reason on radio, TV, and online, helping you defend and preserve this great republic. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Want to reach out to the show? A big part of the program is you, and we want to hear from you. Let us know your thoughts of the show, maybe a guest we've had on the program, or my favorite, when you disagree with something that I talk about. You can email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or send us a message through our website at HooserReason.com. The show's not about me, it's about you. So be heard and be your own voice of reason. Again, email me at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com or find our contact information at HooserReason.com.
Oh, hi. You know, conservative messages now are more important than ever before.
Election season, state legislative issues, and a rise in the radical left socialist progressive agenda.
What we really need now more than ever before is knowledge and wisdom. That's where we come in. Hi, I'm Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason.
And I'm your voice for reasonable talk, conservative commentary, great guests and entertainment on radio, TV, and the internet.
It's time to bring some common sense back into the discussion. National issues, state legislative issues, no matter where you may be, upcoming elections, and a heck of a lot more, we can bring traditional values, constitutional principles, and local activism back. And here's what you can do. First, follow us on all the social media platforms at Hooser Reason. You can watch the live stream of the show, leave comments, and even call into the program. Second, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on all of your audio devices, from iTunes and Spotify to Google Play and TuneIn. Make sure to subscribe to have every episode automatically downloaded so you don't miss a single episode. Third, make sure to visit our website at HooserReason.com. You can catch our monthly blog talking about deeper discussions, see who's coming on the program, plus you can sign up for our free monthly newsletter to catch the latest on the show, monthly topics, upcoming interviews, and more. It's time to be that local activist again. That's what the Voice of Reason's all about. Why? Because that's kind of the reasonable thing to do. And it's time for you to speak up, speak out, speak loud, speak proud, speak the truth, and always speak some reason. Hey, miss a show? Don't worry about it. You have plenty of opportunities to watch, listen, learn, and be entertained with the Voice of Reason anytime you want. And here's how you can do it. First, become a Hooserholic by going to HooserReason.com and signing up for the show newsletter to get the latest on the show, upcoming guests, topical discussions, and more. Next, subscribe to the podcast and have the show automatically downloaded to any platform you like to use. You can subscribe through any of your favorite platforms with iTunes and Spotify, Google Play and TuneIn, or you can also go and subscribe directly to our Podbean website. Last, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just go to youtube.com, search Hooser Reason, and subscribe to watch all of our shows, videos, and get notified whenever we're live. All the links and info are at HooserReason.com.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying the program today. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on any of your favorite podcasting sites and have the show automatically downloaded to your phone or computer every single day. Just find us on any podcasting site or go to HooserReason.podbean.com. And be sure to check out our Patreon site, become the ultimate Hooserholic, and help us fight for conservative values every day. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do. Now back to the national broadcast of the Voice of Reason.
You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
And buddy, goes by way too fast. Can you believe it? Last segment already here on a post-Monday celebration. Welcome into the Voice of Reason. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Trying to cram that 10 pounds of reason into that 5-pound bag. Trying to rebrand the millennial generation one radio listener at a time, as we've been deemed by other talk show hosts the millennial general reporting for duty. I kind of like that. We're going to have to use that a little bit more. Talking with Dr. Gerard Lamiero here. One more segment as well. GreatNewsForAmerica.com is the website. Real World Socialism is the latest book with all the predictions that he's had. Now, let's talk real quickly about, you had mentioned the campaigns and the overwhelming victory that Republicans are going to have all across the board, which I really, really hope this happens. This would make me so happy. But let's talk about the campaign tactics right now. We see Joe Biden staying in his basement. Donald Trump did 3 different campaign rallies yesterday in Pennsylvania. All of a sudden, Joe Biden shows up on a street corner unannounced, because he wants to shake things up and actually try and counter some of what Trump's actually doing, because he's not getting anybody at a rally while Donald Trump's getting 10, 20,000 people at each rally, doing 3 of them a day for the next week here before election time. Joe Biden has been focused, and Democrats have been focused, on the lack of management from COVID-19 and using that as the fear tactic that he's not the right leader. People are dying. We don't have a vaccine. He's not putting in mask mandates nationally, just a blanket rule. Is that going to win over the voters, or is it just a little too late?
No, it isn't. People do not like their solution. They do not like the lockdown solution. Most people really want to get back to normal as soon as possible. And, normal means some people get sick, and your elderly who are compromised have to be taken care of. You don't send sick people like Cuomo did to nursing homes and infect all the nursing home residents. That's not a smart policy.
Right.
As we found out, so many people died in New York. But basically, that's not playing. People are also very concerned about anarchy and the rioting that's gone on, the looting in cities across the nation. I looked at a map with a dot for every city that had rioting, anarchy, or looting. And you know what? It was all over the U.S. Big cities, little cities. It wasn't just a couple of places like Portland and Seattle. It was all over. People don't like it. They don't like it. They're worried that it's going to come to the suburbs. A lot of suburban women were supposed to be going for Biden, but now they're going for Trump because they believe in law and order, and they want security in their homes. They don't want their kids, their husbands, themselves in danger.
Yeah.
So those are the issues that are coming out now.
That's very true. Looking at some of the projections with the early voting right now, we're seeing 50% of total votes have been cast so far compared to 2016, which obviously, hopefully, we're going to see more votes this year than last time. But 50% have already been cast. Nearly 70 million votes have been early voting right now. Does that change the narrative when it comes to the outcome of the election, and when it comes to like issues like the great October surprise, the Hunter Biden emails, the scandal that's going on there? Is that going to affect the election, even though half the population's already voted?
Yeah, well, it has affected the ones who haven't voted. Those who have voted, a lot of them would like to change. One of the trends that Google has picked up on is, how do I change my vote? That tells you something.
Yeah.
That's a trending thing with the search engine Google. No, there is a situation where some people would love to change, but they can't. And that's what happens when you vote early. You don't wait for all the news to come out, and you don't wait for all the debates to take place. But the ones that haven't voted yet, it's a real plus for Trump that Biden and his son's endeavors have been exposed. And I think there's hard evidence. The Democrat who's come out, the person who came out saying, confirming what the laptop said, and said, I was in a meeting with Joe Biden,
yeah,
and that he's a registered Democrat who's donated in the past to Democratic candidates for office. He's not some Republican hack who wanted to put down Biden. It's a Democrat who's doing it. That tells you it's probably true, and I believe it's true. So I think, all in all, the early voting is an indication of how important this election is. And I think a lot of people are voting. 25% of the people who come to the Trump rallies have never voted before. They're voting for their first time.
I really
and
hope
those
so.
people are not rallying with Joe Biden.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Well, it's concerning to me. Maybe it's concerning, maybe it's not concerning. I'm not quite sure how to put it yet. That the fact that like 86% of the people that voted in 2016 have already turned out in the state of Texas right now. Or Montana, we're seeing 75%. New Mexico, 75%. It's wild to see the crazy number of people doing the early voting. So we'll see how this all plays out in just a week from now. Dr. Gerard Lamiero, visit him online, greatnewsforamerica.com. Also check out his latest book, Real World Socialism. Gerard, it's always good to talk to you, my friend. We're going to do this again right after the election, and let's compare what we're talking about today. What do you say?
Sounds great.
I love it.
Maybe Skype will work.
Maybe Skype will work. We'll do it again after the government releases it. I love it. I appreciate it, my friend. We'll do it again. Until then, everybody have a great Tuesday evening. Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left seems to find new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back, and we can help with that. Visit our website at HooserReason.com. There's some really great stuff for you. You can read the latest blog discussing topical issues and current events. Let us know your thoughts by filling out our monthly survey. Keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Listen to the podcast of your favorite guest or show, and check out our latest Voice of Reason product infomercials. Plus, you can find upcoming show schedules and guest lineups to plan your radio listening appropriately. And finally, make sure to become a Hoosier-holic by subscribing to the free newsletter. Stay up to date on the latest news of the show, fun facts of the month, and learn new ways to defend and preserve this great republic. It's all there at HoosierReason.com. Again, HoosierReason.com. Go check it out. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.